stories around the world to stories here at home. This is the National News Broadcast. A pleasant evening. I'm Dilanjali Ananda.
A very good evening indeed. I'm Charita Prarachi, and now let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news. Quarantine curfew in the Kottatua and Mullaria police divisions as well. 70 more COVID-19 patients have fully cured and left hospitals. 201 new patients have been detected today. The Prime Minister reiterates on collective responsibility to overcome the health crisis, which has become a challenge to the world. Minister Kehelia Rambukwala says that 70% of work in the new constitution has been completed. A crisis within the Samaki Janabala Vega due to a group of its MPs extending support to the 20th Amendment. On to those and other stories in detail now, and starting off with local stories. 3,714 COVID-19 patients have been fully recovered. 70 fully cured patients have left hospitals today. 201 COVID-19 patients have been identified in the island today. 140 patients out of this number have been identified as those associated with the Paliagoda Fish Market Complex. 37 patients were identified as those associated with the patients undergoing quarantine. 24 patients have been detected from those at the fisheries harbours. The 15th COVID-related death in the island was reported today. The victim was undergoing treatment at the intensive care unit at the Koleapitia Hospital. The patient admitted to the hospital on the 14th of this month, and he was suffering from heart and kidney diseases. The 56-year-old deceased was a resident of Kithalava in Koleapitia. The funeral was held at the Koleapitia Urban Council crematorium this evening according to international quarantine regulations. The Kotte Municipal Council...
A 60-year-old male patient who had some other ailment as well, cardiovascular problem as well as the diabetes, and he has been in the ICU. After recovered, he has showed the symptoms of shortness of breath and chest pain. When he undergone the third PCR test, it was found that he is positive for COVID, and he passed away today and diagnosed as COVID suspected patient, diagnosed as COVID positive.
The Kotte Municipal Council says that the Nugegoda People's Fair has been closed down until further notice. The decision has been taken following confirmation of affliction of COVID-19 disease to two persons selling fish at the Santipola premises. It has also been established that a fish trader in Madampe who was an associate of the Paliagoda Fish Market Complex were infected with COVID-19. Around 200 residents in Godakavala and Kahawatha who have had contacts with him were subjected to self-quarantine. Our correspondent further states that the Godakavala Pradesh Sabha has taken measures to close down the fish trade centre in Madampe and all trading places in the town limits. 6 COVID-19 patients have also been identified from Trincomalee. Our correspondent says that they were detected through PCR test conducted at the Trincomalee Common Fish Market Complex. The trading centre has been closed down. Activities pertaining to the quarantining of the associates of the patients are being carried out continuously. Another COVID-infected person was found in Ambalipitia. So far, 2 COVID patients have been reported from this area. The visa of the Ambalipitia Medical Officer of Health says that 30 members of the families who have maintained contacts with these patients have been directed for quarantine yesterday and today. It has also been confirmed that a woman in Hanvella who was also infected with COVID-19 disease in Hanvella, members of 10 houses who had close contacts with the patients were subjected to self-quarantine. 2 patients who have a contact COVID-19 diseases were found in Kaldemulla, Moratua. Members of 40 families in the area were directed to self-quarantine. 3 COVID-19 patients were detected in Ahaliagoda. 186 persons who have maintained close contacts with them were self-quarantined. A captain in the army camp in Batalanda, Sapugaskanda was also confirmed of having infected with COVID-19. The army says that victim had undergone the Paliagoda Fish Market Complex to purchase fish. 2 employees at a fish market in the Yatalava who have bought fish from the Paliagoda Fish Market Complex have also contracted the COVID-19. The first row associates of the COVID-19 patients identified at the Paliagoda Fish Market Complex are being subjected to PCR tests in Colombo city areas. 154 associates contracted with the disease who were identified in 250 tests conducted yesterday. It has been decided to strictly adhere to the restrictions imposed in the entry and exit passing through the Gampaha district. This was disclosed at a discussion held on the preventive measures on the spread of the COVID-19 disease in the district. The meeting, presided over by Minister Prasanna Ranatunga, was conducted at the Gampaha district secretariat.
Several five-star hotels in Colombo temporarily suspended operations after several employees has tested positive for COVID-19. Colombo Hilton has released a press statement mentioning about their actions following one of its employees tested positive for COVID-19. Shangri-La Hotel has also issued a similar statement. It says all precautionary measures have been adopted following one of their employees tested positive for COVID-19.
The Director of the Epidemiology Unit of the Ministry of Health, Chief Epidemiologist Dr. Sudat Samaravira, said that due to the identification of 49 COVID-19 infected fish traders in the Paliagoda Fish Market Complex, the risk of the virus spreading to fish traders island-wide has increased. He pointed out that the process of contacting, tracing and other rapid actions are being taken to address the risk factors of this subcluster.
The largest cluster that we have experienced recently is the Brandix cluster, that it has by now more than 2,700 cases, and also as an extension from this cluster we have identified the cluster in the Paliagoda Fish Market, more than 772 cases that we have identified there. And the thing is that this Paliagoda cluster, that it is very unique, that is because the most of the people that all over the country that come in here either to sell fish or buy fish. There will be fish sellers, that small scale fish sellers, as well as these large scale fish sellers that who are coming here to buy fish, and also the civilians are coming here to buy fish. By now that we have identified many cases, other districts and other areas, even some remote areas from the Colombo, that is been infected with COVID-19 because that they have visited the Paliagoda Fish Market. So that we are now that identifying all the potential cases and doing the PCR testing, and that detecting more and more cases, and we expect that more and more cases will be reporting today as well as in coming days. But to prevent this type of clusters appearing and also to control these clusters, that what we have to do is that we have to stay as much as possible time in the home, should not come to the society unnecessarily. And also if you are coming, that you should wear a face mask properly and should wash your hands with soap and water, and also that you should maintain the physical distance of 1 meter when you come out to the society. If you are having the symptoms of cough and cold, you should not visit any other places, that you should stay at your home until that you are recovered.
And meanwhile, a quarantine curfew has been imposed in Gothatua and Mullaria police divisions in the Colombo district with effect from 7 p.m. today until further notice. Police spokesman DIG Ajit Rohan said additional police teams have been assigned to implement the quarantine curfew.
The quarantine curfew is being implemented in 51 police areas in the country, especially 33 police areas in Gampaha district, 5 police areas of Puliapitiya division and 10 police areas of Colombo, and in addition to that another 3 police areas of Kalutara district. A decision was taken to implement quarantine curfew in Gothatua and Mullaria police areas since 7 o'clock this evening until further notice. We have deployed special police teams tonight and tomorrow on Sunday in order to monitor and implement the quarantine curfew. The violators are dealt with the quarantine laws and regulations. We have arrested over 800 suspects in connection with quarantine curfew, in connection with the violation of quarantine curfew. In addition to that, 120 vehicles have been taken into police custody. And apart from that, as you all know, another sub-cluster has been created from the fish market Paliagoda. It has been observed that the customers, vendors and other associate groups who have visited Paliagoda fish market have been becoming positive patients. So therefore, we need to identify persons who have visited Paliagoda fish market during the period of last 7 days. So therefore, we would like to make a request from everyone. If you have visited Paliagoda fish market, you need to register yourself at the nearest police station or the MOH office, and the quarantine and self-quarantine procedure should be followed. In addition to that, under any circumstances, no functions, no sports events are conducted in quarantine curfew areas. Those events are strictly prohibited.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa says that there is no other global institute than the United Nations Organization which is enshrined with legality, convening of authority and standardization. The Prime Minister had made these remarks extending best wishes through video technology on the 75th anniversary celebration of the United Nations.
75th anniversary of the UN. It is indeed a historic occasion, especially given the long-standing partnership Sri Lanka has had with the UN for 65 years. Unfortunately, COVID-19 pandemic has prevented us from joining you at your office for these celebrations. However, I'm glad technology has brought us together virtually. I want to start by thanking the United Nations for its support to Sri Lanka in fighting the coronavirus outbreak. As the world takes on the challenges of this unprecedented global health crisis, it is more important than ever to work collectively on our shared challenges to overcome this pandemic. 75 years ago, on a day like tomorrow, the United Nations has created to be a global organization to act as the center of discussions on international cooperation, economic and social development, and international peace and security. It was the optimism of the UN Charter that instilled our faith in the UN's ability to create a better world for us and our children. The global platform has helped bring world leaders together during some of the most challenging times, such as today. As member states, I believe we need to support the United Nations as it evolves into more agile and accountable institution. The world is changing dramatically, and an upgraded United Nations must both adapt and stay relevant. Having overcome a 3 decades-long war, Sri Lanka is on a transformative journey to becoming a more sustainable and resilient country. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, we are all desperately searching for solutions to build back our economies, societies, and global network. We are firm in our commitment to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030 and create a greener and more sustainable environment for the future. I call upon my fellow world leaders to work collectively in restoring compassion back to the ecosystem in our respective countries. I appreciate the United Nations support for a wide range of sectors such as health, education, environment, agriculture, and food security. One of my most important memories working with the UN is when I had the opportunity to work with the children, especially after Easter Sunday attacks and during the pandemic. In addition to remaining committed to children's right and safety, I remain equally committed to addressing the challenges faced by women and girls, the elderly and the differently abled, and look forward to working closely with the UN Residence Coordinator and the country team. I extend my best wishes to the entire UN team here in Sri Lanka as you mark United Nations Day tomorrow, and I expect to continue the close cooperation in the years to come.
Minister Kehelia Rambukwala at a media briefing in Kandy today said that 70% of the work of drafting of the new constitution is completed. Minister Kehelia Rambukala said Minister of Justice Ali Sabri has made a clear statement in the final speech in Parliament. Accordingly, the Justice Minister pointed out that a new constitution will be brought definitely prior to the next ceremony of the President resuming duties in the post of presidency. He also said that he could state with responsibility that a 12-member team of most renowned intellectuals are engaged in the task of forming a new constitution. The committee is assisted by those who have had experiences in drafting constitutions in other parts of the world. Minister Kehelia Rambukala further said that they have received the support of all ethnic groups in the country in this endeavour.
And meanwhile, the 20th Constitutional Amendment draft bill, which was passed with the revisions, will become a law once the Speaker placed his signature on the draft bill. The obligation is to fulfill the short while from now. This inquiry is on the changes that are scheduled to take place upon passing of the 20th Constitutional Amendment. The 20th Amendment paves the way for the abolishment of the Constitutional Council introduced through the 19th Constitutional Amendment. A parliamentary council has been introduced in its place. The Prime Minister, the Speaker and the opposition leader are included in the council. In addition, the council is comprised of a parliamentarian named by the Prime Minister and another parliamentarian named by the leader of the opposition. The two MPs to be named should not belong to the ethnic group of the Prime Minister or the opposition leader. According to the 20th Amendment, the President has authority to name persons for the post of Chief Justice, judges of the Supreme Court, President of the Court of Appeal and judges, the Auditor General, the Attorney General, the Inspector General of Police and Ombudsman, subject to the observations of the Parliamentary Council. The 19th Amendment clause, which states that the appointment of the Cabinet should be carried out according to the instructions of the Prime Minister, also become abolished. According to the 20th Amendment, the appointment of the Prime Minister and Ministers could be conducted according to the wishes of the President. The President is also entrusted with the power to retain under his purview any ministerial portfolio. The number of members of the Election Commission has been increased to 5 from 3. The President also has the power to appoint members to the Election Commission and also nominate one of the members to the post of Chairman of the Commission. Under the 19th Constitutional Amendment, the President was empowered to dissolve Parliament after 4.5 years. However, under the 20th Amendment, the President has the power to dissolve Parliament only after 2.5 years. The 20th revision also repeals the obstruction imposed on dual citizens to contest either the presidential election or the general election. However, the 5-year tenure of president subjected to a maximum 2 terms remain as in the 19th Amendment. The maximum number of members in the cabinet is 30 and the maximum number of state ministers is 40. It has also been pointed out that not a single clause that trigger a public referendum is included in the 20th Constitutional Amendment draft bill.
It was revealed at today's session of the Presidential Commission inquiring into Easter Sunday attacks that former President Maithripala Sirisena had taken telephone call to the then Director of State Intelligence Nilantha Jayawardena 46 minutes prior to the occurrence of the Easter Sunday terror attack. The Commission has ordered Maithripala Sirisena today to submit the Commission the medical report taken while undergoing treatment at a Singapore hospital during the time of the Easter Sunday attack. The former president has testified before the Commission for the 6th day today. Upon cross-examination of President's counsel Shamil Pereira, who was representing Archbishop of His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, said that he was informed of the bombings only after the explosions. The President's counsel said that according to the reports, the former president had sent several telephone messages from the Singapore hospital to the pager of road residents and also to the mobile phone of the private security officer. The former president said that he does not agree with reports that he took calls to Sri Lanka while undergoing treatment. He added that he was having speech difficulties and was unable to engage in telephone conversations. President's counsel Maitri Gunaratna, who was appearing on behalf of Maithripala Sirisena, had raised obstructions when President's counsel Shamil Pereira questioned his client on telephone call reports. The President's counsel Shamil Pereira has inquired Sirisena as to how he returned to the island on midnight of the same day of the attack if he was undergoing such severe health problems. State Additional Solicitor General has objected to questioning Justice Chairman of the Commission has requested the former President to submit his medical reports in the absence of media. When President's counsel Shamil Pereira has questioned the former President whether he accepted the responsibility of failing to prevent the occurrence of an attack that killed nearly 300 people, including members of the Catholic communities, the former President has rejected the accusations.
And meanwhile, two firearms belonging to organised criminal Janit Madhushankar alias Podilasi, currently undergoing detention at the Criminal Investigations Department, were found buried near a house of the grandmother of the suspect in the Talavatta, Hikkaduwa. Officials of the CID have apprehended a T-56 firearm and a revolver belonging to Podilasi at dawn today. Podilasi is detained at the CID for further interrogations on incidents pertaining to causing the death threats of the President, the Defence Secretary and high-ranking officials of the prisons. The police has been able to recover a large number of weapons, including firearms, based on information provided by the suspect. The police has arrested two suspects engaged in drug racketeering along with 100 grams of narcotic ice last night. The raid has been conducted by the Crime Control Division of the Talangama Police Station in Vikramasingapura in Thalavatugoda. The two suspects apprehended were identified as Paliyan Dalamalya and Thalavatugoda Bottama. The police added that the two electronic balances and cash amounting to 15,000 rupees were also taken into police custody. The police has also arrested 6 persons, including a female, who have come to purchase narcotics from the two suspects. In another raid conducted by the Crime Investigation Division of the Mount Lavinia Police Station, 6 suspects have been arrested with 23 grams of heroin and 16 grams of ice narcotic. A woman was also among the suspects. The police have also found a sum of 60,000 rupees in possession of the suspect. The Crime Control Division of the Bandaravela Police Station, in a raid conducted yesterday, has arrested 2 suspects with heroin in North Kabitigo level.
Korean ambassador to Sri Lanka, Won Jing-jeong, extends an invitation to Korean businessmen to invest in Sri Lanka, a country he calls extremely secured. He has made these observations in a discussion with Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at the Temple Trees yesterday. It was several decades earlier that Korea had become one of the biggest investors in Sri Lanka. Currently, more than 115 Korean companies are engaged in operations in the island. The total bilateral trade between the two countries has exceeded $327 last year. Attention has been focused at the meeting to further consolidate the progress. The Korean envoy has extended his best wishes on the landslide victory of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at the last general election. He added that the confidential bondage has attributed to this people's mandate. Ambassador Won Jing-jeong has also appreciated the measures taken by the government to control the COVID-19 disease. He has also reaffirmed commitment to extend continuous assistance. During the meeting, it was also discussed to enhance bilateral cooperation in the fields of exports, tourism, migration and FDI workers. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has recorded a telephone conversation with Korean Prime Minister Chung Sai-kyun and has extended an invitation to the Korean Prime Minister to engage in West Sri Lanka.
Of the government to 450 youth in Namlupitia appointed as a multitask development assistance. The is behind the is in today. The 100,000 program aimed at youth in not the or legislation minister also job in 1,000 persons through the program, which is based on a concept of the president. Reconstruction of the Haliala Bogoda Rajamaha Vihar Rajamaha Mavatarada in Badulla has commenced today. Although reconstructions have commenced previously on several occasions, all of them were stalled in the middle. Distance of the road is 7 kilometers. The anticipated cost is 540 million rupees. The work is to be completed within a year. And that is for tonight news. Do it just tomorrow at the very same time. Stay safe. Good night.
Good night.